Hi everybody, welcome to a new tutorial for GLOBIL. This is brought to you by WWF Germany's Space and Science team. Okay, I did another tutorial in which I talked about the GLOBIL front page, which presents some of the story maps, conservation apps, links, etc. For GLOBIL. This is WWF's Global Observation and Biodiversity Information Portal. That's a mouthful, and this is essentially an access point to the database. You could go in here, you could go up here, you could go through the practices, but this is after having signed in and registered. So if you need help with that, there's another video and there's information in the help section. So this will be a two-part video. The first part will be showing you around GLOBIL. That's the database on the back end of it, as it were, so not just the front page presenting the information, but really how to get to the data. And the second part will be a web map. And a web map is the basic building block for other apps, story maps, this kind of thing. So I will show you how to make one of those. Firstly, just look at some of the links. So we have home, gallery, map. This map is a blank map, so you can add data to it. Scene, not going to go into this, but this is a cool 3D scene for different options. Groups. Now groups are really useful. This is a very simple way for collecting and sharing information, so you can add people to groups. My computer's a little slow at the moment, but hopefully at some stage it will come up with the different groups that I'm in. Okay, fantastic. And this is the most important content. This is all of the content that you have worked on. You can have different, organized by different folders, and you can see the name of the file, what type of information it is, who it's shared with. You can star things, favorite them, and the date. So it always starts with the, unless you change it, it starts with the latest ones first. You can change also how it's shown. You can search for your content here. You can add items and create data. Organization, that is administration, so we're not going to go into that. My content, my favorites. My favorites is really useful for saving information in one place. So maybe it comes from different sources, but if you want to add information to story maps or to hub sites, things like this, it's really useful, so you don't have to go looking for them all the time just to make them your favorites. My groups, as I mentioned earlier, this is all the different groups that you've been involved with. You see their information here. My organization, in our case, this is WWF. But there is also Living Atlas, which is a large geographic database from Esri, and Esri is the big geospatial company that developed this whole system in the first place. You can search for all sorts of things here. This is one of the main search sites. And before we go to make a web map, I want to point out, yeah, that's me up there. If you need to sign out, you click here, and that is the option. And this here, these like in Google, you have these 9 dots. This is access to other apps, and you can see there is the survey 123. That's an online form. I'll have another tutorial about that at some stage. This is a hub site. It's essentially a geographic website. You can have story maps, similar to articles, printed. It's different products of showing information. Okay, cool. So let's go GLOBIL. So as if we were starting from the front page, let's say I want to make a map or start to investigate protected areas in Iceland, and I want to know where they are in terms of airports and roads. Okay, so let's make a web map. First thing is we're going to add some information. Protected areas. There's the World Database of Protected Areas. I already saw what I'm looking for. Terrestrial, good. Now this is the World Database of Protected Areas, which will show We're looking firstly at the description, tells us what it is. You can see it's shared, publicly shared. There are tags which make it even easier to find. There's credits, there's a URL which you can copy and add to web maps if you like. I'm going to open in a map viewer, which means it will open in a web map. Now we're going to see protected areas. This is Africa all over the world. I am interested only in Iceland. So I'm actually going to filter the data so it only shows me Iceland. And here you can see on the left there is the little filter icon. I'm just going to add a tiny bit in here, add an expression to say country, that's the ISO code 3, is ISL. This isn't really necessary, but it's just making the data set slightly smaller. Okay, my mouse jumps around a lot, so I'm going to add a bookmark and call it Iceland. So this will make it nice and easy to come back to this view. So that's it. That was easy. I don't really like this base map, so I'm going to change it because Iceland is in the middle of the Atlantic. So let's give it some cool bathymetry. Also, what is this? You click on there, it shows you the legend. I'd like to make it slightly easier to understand what's going on here, so I'm going to change the symbology. And yes, it was looking at IUCN management categories. I'm going to change it to English designation. And you can see it's already come up with the labels and the numbers of how many sites there are of each. I'm going to change the colours a little bit and take the transparency down to make it a bit more relaxed. Okay, there you go. And don't forget to press OK and done. So I'm going to add airports so we can see where they are relative to the protected areas. Go Add up here, search for layers. Now my content, you could also my favorites, my groups, my organization. I'm going to go for my organization and I'm going to write in airports. And press enter. It'll search this one here, airport locations around the world, add to map. Down there, you can just close that off. Now you still can't see it because this hasn't been turned on. Click it again. And now you should be able to, exactly, you can see these little orange dots. Again, I'm not very fond of the orange, so I'm going to change the style. I'll keep it with the type, but here you can just click on the individual icons. Again, I'll change the middle ones and small. Okay. This is fine. I'm just missing roads now, so press maybe take the transparency down a tiny bit and done. And now let's add some roads. I'm going to add roads from the OSM. This is OpenStreetMaps because I like their roads. Okay, global roads. I'm not going to filter this because it takes too long, but there it is. Close that off and you can see we have now 3 layers. We have the base map, we have the airports, the roads, and on the top. Let me just change that transparency again. So whenever you need to get into this, you click, there's 3 buttons, and that will give you several options. For example, creating labels. So I'm going to give those labels to the protected areas, and it just comes up a bit easier. Okay, let's zoom in a tiny bit. There we are. Okay, so I'm done with my web map. I'm going to save it, and once you save it, you can share it. We're going to call it Protected Areas in Iceland. Give it some categories. Let's say infrastructure, transportation. There might be protected areas as well. Yes, indeed. Okay, so I've given it a couple of categories, some tags. I'll write in airports, Press enter, I'll write in roads. Press enter, I'll write in protected areas. And a brief description, summary, let's just say protected areas in Iceland. Thank you, autocorrect. And I'm just going to save it in my normal HiFrank folder. Okay, so we save that map and now we can share that. I want to point out that if you want to post this in story maps, it has to be made available to the public, where you do just that. And there's a link you can share easily there. You can embed it, or you can create a web app, which will be another tutorial. We can print it. Just one thing about the print, it's okay, it's not ideal, but if you want GLOBIL to make a customized template for your printing, please let us know on the normal GLOBIL email. Let's just have a look, see what this one looks like. Sometime today would be great. It's still thinking about things. And you can see that the information for the airports is from open flights. Okay, so it's okay. It hasn't. I would ideally want to zoom out a little bit more than this. So when we go back to GLOBIL, if we go back into the database and we search for protected areas in Iceland, let's see if it comes up. Yes, here we are. This is the one we just made, and we can open it. In the map viewer, it goes back to my extent that I saved, and that's what we want. Okay, thank you for watching, everybody. There'll be more tutorials coming, so stay tuned. In the meantime, take care and happy mapping. Bye-bye.